Hi and welcome along to AFTV. We are here for the news live show tonight. Turkish in the building. Yeah, I ain't been on a show with you for a while, man.
A little while, yeah.
Yeah. Where you been?
At least over a month. Where you been?
Where you been? I've been here live.
In the comments, who's been on the channel more recently? Me or Robbie?
Where you been, man? I was live on Monday.
Yeah.
You been live this week?
Forever Arsenal.
No, live on this show, the live show.
Not this week, but Laurie and Curtis have Tuesdays. You and James usually have Mondays. So Wednesday's the next opportunity here.
Yeah, so why are you criticising me? I was on. You're asking people about. Get on the thing. I was live on Monday.
Well, I threw it back at you. You said I'm not on the channel. I'm saying who's been.
No, but how you throwing it back? No, but I've been on more than you because I was on Monday.
Well, this week maybe, but we put the all last 3 weeks together. Then
man. The last week I was on more than you. The week before is because I was away. Remember I was in Spain.
Oh, enjoying, yeah.
This guy, man. I mean, he's always causing trouble, isn't he? He's such a troublemaker, man. I mean, he's just always causing trouble. But listen, good to be on the show with you. Looking forward to this one tonight. Few things to discuss. You know what? Actually, I'm going to kick off. There's this one big story that's been out today about Mikel Arteta, the manager, right? And we're going to go on to as well talk about his press conference because quite a lot of things come out in there about Saka, Zinchenko. You know, so it was really good to see.
Yeah, a lot of big news.
Yeah, but kicking off with a rumour, there's a rumour in a Spanish outlet called Sport, where they said that Mikel Arteta is attracting interest from Barcelona, who see him as a firm candidate and highly value the 40-year-old, and they're looking at him as the replacement for Xavi long term. You know, one for the future. And funny enough, right, it was really interesting. The other day I was doing a stream over on DR.
Yeah.
And you know Raul, who's the Real Madrid fan.
Oh, yeah.
And I was saying to him about Carlo Ancelotti, and I was saying, you know, who would you want when he eventually leaves, right? And he said to me, he goes, Arteta.
Yeah, that's what he said, yeah.
So that's really interesting. And then, you know what I mean, there's been rumours as well linking him with Man City when Pep goes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really come a long way when you consider that last season, at the start of the season, there was quite a lot of fans questioning him and perhaps suggesting that, you know, time was up. Mm-hmm. And now, all of a sudden, you know, clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, well, there was a fan of Real Madrid showing before everyone says that, but, you know, he's even just as a fan of Real Madrid showing interest in Arteta, the links with the Man City job, shows that he's doing a really good job, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's come a long way, Rob. I mean, you know, I doubted him 18 months ago. He's done a lot of good work since. And when you look at the Premier League and you look at the managers in the Premier League, aside from Pep and Klopp, and yes, Conte has the history in terms of winning league titles at Chelsea or at Inter Milan and so on. But really, you know, he hasn't really hit the ground running at Tottenham in terms of performances. Points, yeah, best start to the season, yeah, but Conte is that type of manager that you know what you're getting, and he's not really a manager that has a lot of substance in terms of building a team that fights for a longer period of time. Whereas with Mikel's come into a mess of a club, and he's managed to eradicate a lot of the poisonous maybe characters we had in the dressing room. On top of that, he's managed to connect the fans back to the club through shrewd signings. I'd say, you know, people like Ben White and Ramsdale, for example, when they first came in, when we were first linked to them, a lot of us were like, what the hell is this guy doing? But now they are two of the players that we've warmed to. We like a lot amongst the rest of them. So Arteta's done a lot of good work here. I know some people are saying it is PR, and it might be PR, because obviously when you hear Barcelona's interested in a manager and you're thinking, well, Barcelona, I know they're not what they used to be, but they are a powerhouse of a football club brand, so on. You kind of want to protect what you've got. But at the same time, if you believe it's PR, you also have to admit that Arteta's done a lot of good stuff that, over the last 12 months especially, would probably perk up the ears and eyes of rival clubs around Europe.
Yeah, remember last year when he got the new contract, and he got it before the end of the season, and there's a lot of fans moaning even then, saying, should he have got the contract at this time? Why not wait till the end of the season and stuff like that? But now that's starting to look like that was a shrewd move by Arsenal.
Yeah, and I think, you know, whether it's true that Barca are looking at the situation now, or whether it becomes a reality later on, I think things like that will keep Arteta at the club as long as he's performing well. I mean, let's say Barcelona were to sack Xavi next game, and then they contact Arteta and say, listen, we want you next. giving him the contract when we gave it to him. Do you remember his press conference? He was like, it was a kind of a touching moment. Like we just lost a couple games and they're offering me a contract on the brink of maybe a top 4 collapse. It seemed like Arteta kind of took that and, you know, it made him feel warm, welcome and so on. So I think if it turns into a reality and these other clubs are looking at our manager, I think things like that will probably make him, you know, keep him at the club.
Diallo says this is not club PR, it's Sky Sports clickbait rubbish. It wasn't actually Sky Sports, it was a magazine called Sport, or should I pay for a publication called Sport over in Spain that said it, and they've all just picked up on it, so can't really blame Sky Sports for it. By the way, big up to everybody, to Grumpy Doctor, to Vane, and everybody who's spamming the chat with the rat emojis.
Yeah, you lot are going to feel. You lot are going to feel, I'm telling you.
Oh, man, when I saw that rat, right, I saw that they dangled that rat down.
But you see Lee's reaction, though. Lee took the shine.
Forget about Lee's reaction. I'm on about your reaction.
I took a step back.
I thought you... a step back. Right, I thought this man, I'm bad man thing, yeah? I thought it, right?
Who's on a bad man team with rats, though? Who goes to war with rats? I don't see none of these gangs going to war with rats. Nah, there was no noise. It was a big head movement.
I thought you was a soldier, man.
Nah, listen, soldiers and rats, I'm not
I thought you was a soldier.
I'm not
You're supposed to just look on that and go, yeah, what's that? Yeah, but
what's that? What's that? Let's see what's that when we get you. Let's see what's that when we get you.
That was, bro. That was classic, man.
People in this company, they're
look at this guy. Look at Agent E. Look at Agent E with his rat emoji.
Agent E, you're normally on my side as well.
We got Roscoe de Paul, rat emojis, Kings of the Opera, my guy. The rat emojis are there hard in the
Listen, I don't play with rats.
We got Murray.
I don't play
DMF,
with rats.
Black Kid. Right. But on the Barcelona thing, very interestingly, he was Mikel Arteta was asked about it in his press conference, and this was his response to that. He says, "What I can say is that I'm extremely happy and proud to be where I am. Barcelona now are in a really good path. I think they have a phenomenal coach who's an absolute legend at the club and has lived the whole place. You have to be respectful of that." So he kind of swerved the whole thing, but yeah, he does look like he's very happy at Arsenal, and I've got to say, the fans are very, very happy with him. I mean, this is the first time in a long time, since the days of Arsene Wenger, that I'm hearing the manager's name being sung. Like, it's one of the main songs when you go to games. We got Super Mikel Arteta. They love him. The fans are loving him at the moment. You know what I really think was big for Mikel Arteta, and, you know, actually has really helped to bring the fans closer, was that documentary.
Yeah, that
really strange, because I thought that documentary may not be the greatest thing when we missed out on the top 4, but it kind of showed another side of Arteta where you kind of said to yourself, you're watching it and you're thinking, and this is always an important thing which I always say to anybody who's involved in football clubs, what the fans want to see even when you're a player, coach, whatever, we want to see that you care. That's when we see that, sometimes we can let certain things slide because we're like, you know what, this guy cares. And when I watched that documentary, Mikel Arteta came across as a guy that he loves Arsenal and he really wants this club to be successful. He really, really cares about this club. That's what came across, and I think that's really... It wasn't that people disliked him on that, because even when some fans were questioning him and saying that, you know, maybe we should change the manager, there was never really venom with people saying, oh, no, you know what I mean? There was no venom in it. It was just like, I'm not sure if this guy's the right guy. But I think one thing you cannot question about this guy since the day he walked through the door is that he does care about this club.
Yeah, it showed a different side to him. Ever since Arteta walked through the door, he's always spoken well. That's one thing that maybe for the first year and a half, maybe even 2 years, speaking well was used in his credit. You know, it was favourable. It was one of his pros. But, you know, the second 8th place finish, speaking well doesn't really cut it. So what All or Nothing documentary gave us is another side to him. And even in that documentary, there was a moment where he goes into the dressing room and he kind of gets onto the players, But he says, I'm going to do what I do and go in front of the media and protect you guys as always. Now, before that documentary, all we saw was him in front of the media. He speaks well, but does he really give you much? Not really. That's fine if I know he's doing it behind the scenes. And that documentary gave me the insight that, yes, even 1-0 up at Everton at half-time, he's still furious with the performance. He's still going at them. And we eventually lost that game, and it kind of cost us towards the end of last season. And
you see that he cares, isn't it? Because, you know, a lot of times, like, you be at the game or you be at home and you're thinking to yourself, they don't even business.
100%.
But you saw how much that hurt him, that performance that day. How he was at half-time in that game is exactly how we all were.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted to see, because he's played for Arsenal, he's captained us, he's won an FA Cup with us. That's all good and well, but I want to see more. And with Wenger, it became very stale because all he would do was protect, and we didn't really know what's going on behind the scenes. We could assume that he's that protector, an arm around the shoulder when things are going bad. I'll speak for myself personally. I wanted the manager to come in and ruffle a few feathers, like sort out the mess. And Arteta's done that. And not only done that, he's brought in a standard. You know, he's brought in a standard, and
which he said right from the beginning, isn't it? Non-negotiables. I'm bringing in, you know, it's you know, if you don't respect the values of the club, you know, you won't play. If you don't want to come to Arsenal, well, stuff you. We're not getting you. All these sort of things he said. He's backed it up, hasn't he? He's he's stuck to those things. If you don't respect the values, you know, that's sort to the end of Aubameyang. If you don't, you know, respect everything we're doing around the club, or you think you're bigger than the club, I'm not going to come and buy you. He's stuck to all of those things. And the players that he's brought in, you can see they're all playing for him. They are playing for him. Even last season, they are playing for this manager. Yeah,
he's made some big decisions. I mean, since he's come in, he's probably let go of the best player we had when he came in Aubameyang, and one of the maybe top 2-3 youngsters we had in Guendouzi. Because at the time when he was with us, we all saw him as a future midfielder for us for many years to come. He's, due to the non-negotiables, he's got rid of them too. But look how we've started this season.
Listen, when you mentioned them, man, I'm still angry about last night, man. You know what? I looked on that pitch and I said, you know what? I was almost like I was looking at the old Arsenal.
That's what it felt like.
Right? Guendouzi. He's just got old. He was a class player when he was at us. Alexis Sanchez. Kolasinac. That chance that he missed. My God, man. You know what I mean? What's wrong with it? I think we saw... Funny enough, what that game showed me is the difference in the quality of players we have now in comparison to then. You know, obviously, we wanted Tottenham to go out or whatever, but taking that, we'll put all that aside. I mean, the rivalry. I was just looking on those players and I'm like, what are you doing now? They haven't improved. I didn't see it in that game. And when I look at the quality of the players that we now have, you can see the big difference. They do say that a lot of times with managers, wait until they get their players. Kolasinac wasn't his player, was it?
No.
And he's, you know, Socrates. You know, you look at it. I've said this a few times. Look at Kolasinac in comparison to, like, say, Zinchenko.
Yeah. Or Tommy, or Tierney.
Yeah.
All three of them.
But I'm saying Zinchenko because that's one that was brought in by Mikel Arteta. Look at the difference between those two players. You know?
Standards raised.
Socrates, Mustafi to Saliba.
Yeah. Even at that.
I mean, it's a massive... It's, you know... Yes, we're playing well because Mikel Arteta has been, you know, has managed brilliantly. But also, you know, the recruitment's been better. And the quality of the players that are coming in is better. Much better.
And the way we've started this season, I mean, it's the best start we've had to the season since when, Rob? Since when was the last time we started the season so well? Ty, can you help me out?
I think it's one of those seasons.
The first few years we moved into the Emirates?
I think they said that, I think,
2001, 2002.
Oh, in terms of points on the board and wins and whatnot, it's been since before we moved into the Emirates. But since we've moved into the Emirates, these have been...
I don't think that a better start.
I don't think so.
It's been an incredible start to the season. And I'll tell you the other thing that I've liked about what Mikel Arteta's done is how we play. You know, you look at... You know, I was watching Tottenham last night, for instance, They brought in a world-class manager in Conte, And, before we, at times I was saying, I'd love Arsenal to go and have bought Conte.
So
in.
did I, yeah.
I'm glad now that we didn't, because he wouldn't have suited how we play. Like, he's very pragmatic, very, very pragmatic. Whereas I feel with Mikel Arteta, one of the things I've really enjoyed about watching Arsenal this season is how we're not we can be pragmatic at times when we need to be, but we approach every game that we're looking to take the game to that other team. And I think that's why we've won so many games. And if you actually look at our Mikel Arteta's even record last season, we didn't really draw many games.
Yeah.
We lost a lot, or we won. Because I think that's his style is a bit like Pep Guardiola, isn't it? He wants to be on the front foot. He wants to be the aggressor. He wants to be that aggressive team that takes the game to the opposition. And I like that.
It's about time we've had a team that we're confident going into games, playing our way. We're not too worried about the opposition. It's been a long time coming. And you know what it is? I think when you mentioned Conte, and I was guilty of this as well. When you're in that moment, frustrated for years on end, you're just looking for quick wins, and a manager that's won league titles, or a player that's heading into his prime and been in Champions League. Those are what we was after. But instead, we got a Mikel Arteta, or we got a Ben White and a Ramsdale. I look at them similarly in a sense where when they came in, we thought, what the hell is this? But the reality is, when we sit here right now, and although Tottenham have had their best start to the season,
yep, they have.
Performance levels haven't been quite what even Tottenham fans might expect themselves. And I guess that football only makes sense come May if you win something. Other than that, it's going to be a frustrating year. But sticking with Mikel, on Big Six in January, Toby asked me, because remember in January we was in a good position in the league, we headed into January in top four, and he asked me, would you swap Arteta for Conte now? And I said no, because Arteta's done the good work to get us here right now. Levels, Conte is the more renowned manager. He's won the bigger honours, where he's won major honours in league titles here and there. But you let Arteta finish the job, and obviously he didn't get top four come the end of the season. So looking at it then, everyone might have been like, Turkish, you was foolish to say that. And I might have been. But then if we was to ask that question now, I think you'd get a very different answer, maybe a more...
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot made about the project, right? But with Arteta, it is a project, really. It has that is how it's played out. It has been a project, and a process in that, he came in, first of all, steady the ship. Right, there's so many players to go. Remember Özil, Aubameyang, and big earners and stuff like that. What brought him a lot of credit is, of course, he won the FA Cup straight away when he came in. But then he steadied things. He's changed a lot of things, and like you said, he's brought in his type of players that will play in his type of way. So when he brought in Ben White, many of us questioned 50 million quid for Ben White. Are you sure? I mean, he's a quality player. He comes with great reviews from both Brighton and Leeds fans, but 50 million?
Yeah.
A lot of us was like, could we not have used that 50 million maybe on someone else? But he was like, no, because a particular way I want to play, that guy's going to suit. All right? Tomiyasu.
Yeah,
this guy's going to suit what I want to do. Ramsdale. That's probably the biggest one. We're like,
what's going on here?
20 or 25 million for Ramsdale. We don't even need a keeper. That's not our issue right now. We've got Leno. Leno's good, man. That's not our issue. We've got bigger issues. He's like, no, I need this guy because I want to, distribution is going to be important. Now I'm starting to see, you look at his signings now, you're like, there's a thought process that has gone in to these signings. Jesus, you can see now all of a sudden we've got 3 players up front that all dribble, they all drive and attack players. It's a nightmare for defenders right now when you're facing Arsenal, because you've got Saka on one side bearing down, pure tricks, strength, quick, absolute nightmare, got in product, delivery, nightmare. Then over on the left hand side you've got Martinelli, the exact same thing, quick, tricky, right? And then down the middle, you got Jesus is the same as well. Like, as well as being able to get on the end of things, different to, like, say, when we had Aubameyang, in that he will take players on, he will go past players, dribble, nightmare. But then also, with all 3 of those players, if they ain't got the ball,
Yeah.
they will get back and they will help.
Work hard.
They will work their socks. I saw, the amount of runs, the amount of times I saw Jesus tracking back, and that was against Nottingham Forest. We're about 3-0 up
In our own box.
right? That's what he wanted. That's what he wanted. So, like, when we had Aubameyang, that's not in his game.
Yeah.
Aubameyang's a guy, he wants to get on the end of things. He's not going to run that. He's not really a dribbler, is he?
No.
He's a guy, play it in behind, he's deadly.
Get him on the end of it.
So I now start to look at it and say, we can see why he wanted Partey. I'm starting to see now the type of players that he likes, that he wants. You're not going to buy no player that doesn't work hard. That you will not see Arteta buy that type of player. No chance.
It's football 101 now. You need everyone to work hard. Bare minimum. You look at the best teams in the Premier League over the last 6 years, Man City, Liverpool. One thing they both have in common, they both work hard from goalkeeper to striker. They've all got their part to play in the system. Defensively, offensively, all of that. Now, with the process, when you look at it outside looking in now, it's like when Arteta first came in, he'd get the under-the-radar signings, the Ben Whites and the Ramsdale or Partey, he'll break the release clause and get that one over the line. Then we saw a little something last season. It didn't end the way we wanted it to end, but under Arteta, finally, in the Premier League, we saw a little something. We finished 5th. There's nothing to scream and shout about there. But what it allowed him to do is, get a Jesus, get a Zinchenko, because he probably spoke to them and said, look, we're moving forward. We're headed in the right direction. We finished 8th. We finished 5th. We need you guys to come in and push us into the top 4. Now, the next step, I believe, that probably Mikel's planning is Champions League football, and then who he can go and get to kind of finish off his squad now, because it's close to completion, in my opinion, in terms of what he wants.
I think the Champions League football will be massive, because then he can go and add those elite guys on top of it. That's when we could have a really, really exciting time at Arsenal. Yeah. Well, it's exciting at the moment, to be fair. I've got some super chats here. Let me rattle through some of those. By the way, as Turkish always says, we want more likes. We've only got 264 likes at the moment, over 3,000 in the building. Can you give us some more likes,
Come on,
please?
people.
Like.
1,000
likes. Shref says, first of all, who watches La Liga for a whole season? Nobody. He says, Barcelona job is worse. They have huge expectations, debt, and regularly play Europa League after Bayern. Right, they are in the Europa League as well. Yeah. I think, you know what, it's very funny, as we would discuss, I think it was me and James were discussing this the other night, and we were saying that it's amazing how, because I think we were saying, if only Pep got, get lost, Pep.
Yeah.
Leave, please. Right, because we were saying he's a real difference maker, Pep Guardiola. He's so good, right? And I think James was saying, it's amazing that he stayed at, Man City for so long. He's been there now, 7 years? Wasn't it, right? Klopp's been there 7 years. And he's like, it's amazing that, like, these managers, they come to England and they stay so long, Whereas when they're in, Pep Guardiola didn't stay as long in other countries, right? And I was saying, just referring back to what Shref's there saying about the Barcelona job, right? I think the difference is that when you're a top manager in this country and you're doing well, like a Pep, like a Klopp, I think the owners kind of say, you know what, you're doing such a great job, you control it.
Yeah.
And we'll just be in the background when you need you for money and that, come and check it. But Pep Guardiola controls everything at Man City. Player-wise. So does Klopp. I think even when you're at these clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid and stuff like that, even when you're really, really successful, the way in which those clubs run, you can still have an owner or a couple of the president and a couple of people around there just coming and saying, oh yeah, by the way, we bought such and such.
Yeah, here they are.
And by the way, we bought him. And by the way, we bought that. So you're not really in control. Whereas Pep is in control of City.
Yeah.
And I think that's why these top managers come here, and if they're doing well, they say, I'm going to stay here, man. This is all right. And as well, I don't think clubs are, even though, yes, people do get sacked a lot over here, but I don't think they're quick to pull the trigger. Mm-hmm. They will be loyal to if you've been doing well. You know what I mean? So, but Pep, please leave, man.
Yeah, take Haaland with you as well now whilst you're at it.
Oh, man. Nelly says, get Ty on camera. No chairs, he can sit on Robbie's lap. I don't think so. He's in the background over there, Ty. Abraham says we were on 17 points in December in 2020 when we had that bad run. We're now on 31 points already in November. Big up to Arteta. You do have to factor in that we played. Actually, no. Do you factor that in? Because I was going to say you factor in that we played quite a lot of games because in the run up to the World Cup. But then
in December,
he's on about December
games anyway. Yeah.
31 points to 17.
Oh, we started the season mad, Rob. If it wasn't for Manchester City and what they've created over there, we could potentially have a healthy lead at the top. But it's because of how well oiled they are and adding the Haaland factor in and look how many goals he scored. That's why it's still very tight, even to third and fourth. I'm not saying we're gone. But what I'm saying is this start to the season is solid. 10 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. It's mad.
You'd be very disappointed if we didn't get top 4 now, innit?
100%. 100%. I think someone said it on one of my streams. They said, out of the next 26 games, if we were to win 14 and draw 2, we reached a 76-point threshold where 76 points has never not made top 4 in the Premier League.
Wow.
So 26 games, 14 wins, 2 draws out of those gets us top 4. Obviously, at this moment in time, we're hoping for more, but top 4 is the target at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You say that, according to the stats, my friend pulled up the stat, obviously, we don't want to get carried away. Apparently, with that start that we've had, only 2 teams have not won the league with that start.
Yeah.
Ty, you might not be able to hear him off camera. You ain't got a mic in front of you, by the way, yeah? Right? But what he was just saying is that only 2 teams of that sort of point tally at this stage of the season have not gone on. I thought it was 1, they said, but only 2 teams have not gone on to win the league. I heard it was 1. What's the team, the quiz? You don't answer it. What was that team that didn't go on to win it with the points tally at that stage?
It's easy, Turkish.
Us?
No?
Turkish.
No?
Do you want a clue, Turkish?
I'll give you a clue. I'd love it. I'd love it. If he went there next week, I'd love it.
I'd love it if we beat them. And I tell you something, he's got to go to Leeds and get something.
What are you not saying to me?
Like that.
He's a young youth, man. I mean, they remember them things. Who was
it? United, who was it?
I'd love it. I'd love it. Who did that?
It wasn't United.
Don't you remember that?
Remember, I love it.
Which manager? I'd love it. He was at the camera. He's being interviewed by Sky.
Who, Kevin Keegan?
Kevin Keegan, yes.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Newcastle. They were the
Newcastle were the ones that.
They were the ones, yeah. Remember they had that big lead and then they just blew it.
But I was.
They blew a 12-point lead. Yeah. Yeah, so that was really interesting. Braxton says Barca spent a year with Aubameyang, then turned around and tried to sign Arteta. And he's got a laughing emoji with a rat emoji as well. London Nomad says, watching Marseille versus Spurs, fully understand why Arteta phased out Guendouzi and Tavares. He always has a good reason. Trust him. Aston Mac, big up our guy Aston Mac. All the way from Florida. Big up yourself, my guy. He says in his first 2 years, Arteta got rid of over 30 players. We've been too close to see, but when you step back and you really see it, the league now has to talk Arteta just as much as they bantered him. That is true, He got a lot of banter. He's got to get his props now, isn't it? Because I didn't realise that he got rid of 30 players. Turkish.
It's mad. But that's what was necessary. That's it. I remember Robin, we used to be outside the Emirates, and you used to call me ruthless because I wanted.
Yeah, because you would. I give him his due. He'd say, he'd be like, by the time he's finished, there was like 1 player left.
Get rid of all of them, man.
He's like, I want him gone, this gone, get rid of him. I'd be like, yo, there could be no one left, man.
Yeah, well.
But you used to call it from them.
Yeah, revolving door, that's how I see it. If 30 go out and about 26 come in, and then you look at a couple of the youth players and you make the squad up again. Listen, we was in a bad place, Rob. We was in a bad place. The team just seemed like there was no rules and they didn't really care. So hearing 30 players going out since he's been
players,
it's 3 years he's been in the role. Come December, on the end of this month, that means it's on average 10 players a year he's got rid of, which is mad.
Nelly says still asking for a live Bias Premier League show since 4 weeks back. All right, we're gonna make that happen. Don't worry, we'll make that happen. We'll make that happen very, very soon. Going back, did I miss this one? Ohan says on recent form, how many Arsenal players are in the Premier League top 5? Well, listen, quite a few. Diallo says Turkish has something cooking for you, Robbie. He's vexed, is he?
Don't worry, Cecil's first on my hit list, and then the rest will follow. Robbie was actually not a part of it. He was at the game, so
yeah. See, I had nothing to do with it.
Oh, look at him now. I had nothing to do with it.
I had nothing to do with it.
Look, hey, production, who's that? Which one of you guys is that? Because you'll be after Cecil on that list. Hass, I'm on to you. Yeah?
You see the way he tried to make out like this is you. He said, "Oh, I just went, oh, like that." You're.
Listen, if you freeze frame a boxer missing a jab, you'll see the same face.
It's a bit more like what was that tune? What's the name again? Oh, what's that rapper? The one from Ty, you know this. You know you're rapping. What's that rapper from the Bronx? Big. Not Big Pun. That was with Big Pun. Fat Joe.
Yeah,
lean back. Lean back.
That's what I did. I broke into a little dance. People are saying I'm shit. I was dancing.
Lean back.
That's what I was dancing. That's what I was doing. That's the story I'm sticking with.
Oh my God, man. But no, just back on the Arteta thing. You know, I mean, you like people are saying it now. Aston Max said there, the way he was bantered.
Yeah, it's true.
Now people will give him his respect because you know he's honestly the one thing I'm enjoying the most about Arsenal at the moment is the football.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying watching the style of football. Can we keep this going, Turkish, from now till the end of the season? It's still a long season, still a long way to go, but
I think we can keep it going in a sense where I still see Man City walking away with the title at some point. But who would have even thought second coming into the season? You know, there might be a few people that said second is the target, and I get that. But I don't think none of us really saw this Liverpool downfall, and a lot of us expected Conte and Tottenham to click. I think we can keep this up, and I think we will finish top 4. I'm very confident we will finish top 4. But what this kind of last month showed is that depth at times and a bit of fatigue can be problematic for us. So if it was problematic for us in October, best believe come March, April, there could be problems there as well.
Because the reason why I'm asking that, kind of leading on to my next question, right? Or my next thing I want to talk about is, according to the Telegraph, Edu, by the way, he was another one getting linked away to various different clubs as well. The good job that he's done. But Edu will look to bring in one new signing in January. And he wants to give Arsenal a lift for the second half of the season, according to them. But one new Arsenal boosted at the moment with the return of Zinchenko. We heard today Mikel Arteta confirming it in his press conference that he is back. Mohamed El Neni is close to full fitness, may even figure in the game tomorrow. He was in training as well. I remember me and Lee met his brother at the game a few weeks ago, who did say he was coming back, so his brother was spot on when he said he'd be back in a couple of weeks. Smith Rowe's still out, but probably by the time the World Cup's over, he'll be back.
Hopefully, yeah.
One signing, is that enough? Or with all those guys coming back, do you think that is enough?
I think one good signing, there's a difference between a signing and a good signing. I think one good signing should see us over the line in terms of top 4. But the way we've started the season, we might not necessarily need that one signing for top 4. So it all comes down to how, well, I guess we got Brighton and West Ham after the World Cup, which will really tell us what position we're in heading into January. But, where I'm sitting now, it's different to last year, Rob. Last year, I said, listen, we need something in January to really, solidify our top 4 hopes. This season is different because I don't think we're going I don't think we're going to win the title, but I think we're good enough to comfortably make top 4. So if you ask me, do we need to do business in January? I don't think we actually do at this moment in time.
Ooh, Mark Arthur Phillips says Turkish, which position needs to strengthen most in January, and name the player. Sorry. I disagree with you, Turkish. I'm surprised. I thought you would be saying we do. I think we need a couple of signings in January.
For what though?
I think we need 2 signings in January. I think we need a...
Are you confident? Right now, are you confident we're going to get top 4?
I'm not talking about the top 4,
So you want the signings to go for the league. I get that.
Listen, to me, right, we got 2 games left. Listen, you can't... obviously, I want to see what position we're in by the time we get to the World Cup, right?
2 games. Yeah.
But we've got 2 games to play. Even if we lost those 2 games, we're still in and around it. We're still in and around the top of the league, right? You've been saying it from the start of the show, right? It's our best ever start to a Premier League season. I think we should be going for the league. Go for the league. If we don't win the league, then we'll get top 4, hopefully.
Yeah, that. 100%.
But I don't want Arsenal to waste this opportunity. We may never be in a position as good as or it could be years before we're in a position as good as this again, right? In January, I would go, if I was Arsenal, if I was in Edu, in January, I would go and get another midfielder. This is despite Smith Rowe, because Smith Rowe, what is he going to play? Smith Rowe would probably, you could put him in where Martinelli is if Martinelli's out. You could possibly have him in the Xhaka position as well, right? He'd excel in both of those. Mohamed Elneny, yes, he can cover. He can cover Thomas Partey, but he's not Thomas Partey. He's not of that quality. I love Elneny. Elneny is your perfect squad player. But we know he's not going to, he hasn't got that, where Partey breaks lines and all. He's not going to do that stuff.
Very different.
Go out there and get that midfielder in that ilk. Someone will do that.
Someone made a good point here. I can't actually find it, but he said something like, come on Turkish, if we got one in January, that would give them 6 months to prepare for the next season. And that is a very good point.
But I'm not on about that. I'm on about you go and you bring in 2 signings. The other signing I think we need is we need somebody. I mean, I'd like to see another striker. I know that might be difficult because I can't, when people say to me who, I can't think of who. Unless you go and break the absolute bank and go and raid a team for an existing striker like a Mitrovic, I think would be a great plan B. But Fulham would be like, well, listen, we want like 70 million or something ridiculous like that. But for me, a goal scoring, if you can't get a striker, a goal scoring player who can play across that front 3. Someone who could come in and from now till the end of the season, number one, if any of those guys are out, he comes in and there's not a massive drop off. He can do what Saka can do, he can do what Martinelli can do, he can do what Jesus can do. Maybe not quite as good as them, but he can do that. And he can chip in with some goals as well. Between January and the end of the season, he could chip in with a 6, 7. Remember, listen, we don't like to talk about them, but remember the contribution that Kulusevski made when he came in at Tottenham. He came in and he added something to them. I'll give you another example. Diaz at Liverpool. He came in and he kind of brought a freshness. He brought goals, he brought excitement, and it lifted it again to another level. When Liverpool were chasing down all of those different trophies last season. I think Arsenal need to make a signing like that. But in 2 areas. In midfield, to me, Tielemans is still available.
6 months ago.
He's picked it up I think he started the season off pretty quiet. But he's picked it up. He had a great strike for a goal the other day. If you saw that, he had another one last week that just hit the bar for Leicester. He's going to walk away for Leicester for free in the summer. I guess Leicester will be very reluctant to sell him if they're still in a relegation fight. But he's gettable. Surely he's gettable, right? And then, somebody there's Ash. This is another one. Again, not sure if they'd sell this guy, but surely if Arsenal went in with big money for this one, Trossard.
He's having a great season.
Ash says Trossard. Roscoe de Sol says Trossard. And then there's Zaha, who Tate Nation is saying Zaha won't sign a new contract, we could get him on the cheap.
Yeah, he's another one.
Again, I don't think it would be cheap because even though there's 6 months left and they know Arsenal, but to me, if you got players in of that level, those players could push you on if you're still close to possibly win a league. And that's what I want to see us go for.
Do you know what it is, Rob? January, I've never been a big fan of January windows because you're never. It's very rare you get the man you want. Like let's say, look, Zaha's available in January. I like Zaha, but we was linked to Mudryk last summer. Since we've been linked to him, I've saw a lot more of him this season, and I can't lie, bringing in a Zaha in January probably means that we wouldn't go get a Mudryk in the summer. Whereas I'm looking at it like, I don't think we're going to win the league this season, so it's about preparing for the season.
But what if you had a Zaha? What if you had a front three, right? What if you've got, these are your options, you've got the front three, we've got and Zaha.
Okay,
Don't you think that that's going to cause us to win a lot more games?
It would, but would
that push us? You know what I mean?
Would his signing stop us really improving in that position in the summer? Probably. That's my worry. Sometimes in January you buy someone because in that moment you need them, but the reality is that wasn't the someone you wanted for long term. It's the someone that you could get now to finish off the season. And
but I think he'd still be a good player for Arsenal for the next couple of seasons.
Zaha's a quality player.
Trossard's
quality player. But I think Brighton they wouldn't sell.
Apparently he's in the last year of his contract.
I swear.
Yeah.
If he is, then yeah, let me know.
Let me. I'm going to go on to. I'll check it out now. Let me check it out now. But I'm sure. You keep talking. I'll check it out.
Yeah, right? People, let me know. Yeah, check that out.
But I'll check it out. I'll check it out now, because I'm sure when I was doing Transfer Daily in the summer, I'm sure he was in the last year of his contract.
You've been heavily linked to that Torres
Leandro
guy that played for Orlando in the summer as well. So.
Yeah. Do you remember him? Remember that when he scored that goal? Remember me and you was like, hey man.
Yeah.
What did we call him? We call him a fake.
Yeah, who was it?
I can't, because he had the blonde hair. But we were both like, the goal he scored, by the way, was a really good goal.
Overall, his play was quality.
Yeah, and he was a quality player. Right, Trossard's contract expires June 2023.
So someone said last year, but an option to extend.
Oh yeah, he's got a club option of 1 year. So his contract finishes next year, but they got an option of 1 year. So that means he's gettable, though, doesn't it?
It does. Maybe not in January, probably next summer. So probably next summer. But then it depends how much we want him. If Rob, the owner, because I'd rather the owners think like what you're thinking now. Go for the title.
Go for it, man.
I just can't see it. So if they are, then Trossard, they can get him by paying a bit over the odds. Got
to go for it. Here's, you guys are, by the way, listen, loving all the comments and super chats that's coming in. Really, really appreciate it. Still only got 683 likes though. Nearly 4,500 of you on the live. So can we get some more likes, please? Right, you say it, because when you say it's better, they normally.
Let's get it up to 1,000 now, people, man. Come on, man. I know it's not the big six, but I am here. It's AFTV Live. Me and Robbie. It's rare that me and Robbie take the hot seat together. So hit the like button, get it up to 1,000, and you'll see more of it. Me and him have got a show coming as well. It's meant to be here already, but you know,
I think he's going to launch after the World Cup. But look out for that show. That's going to be beefy, right? Chatiana says, need a quality backup for Thomas. Let's get this straight. Our best player is Xhaka right now, but Thomas is our most important player. We do need a backup for that. Dave Jordan, I guess if Elneny comes back, he does help in that position, but he's not Thomas Partey.
We only gave him a year, and I think that was intentional.
Yeah.
We could have given him 2 years, but we gave him a year.
Yeah.
So I think Arteta has someone in mind.
Yeah. Dave Jordan says, Rob, stop thinking like a loser. Am I thinking like a loser? You just said I was going to go for it. This is just the start of Arsenal's era, not the peak. No panic. Buy in January to chase the title. Stick to the long-term plan. No, but am I being a loser if I'm saying, right, listen, all right, the plan may be that let's get top 4 this year,
and
next year now, that's the big push for the title. But we're kind of ahead of.
There's an opportunity.
The opportunity is there. Now, let me give you this, right? The opportunity was there last year to get in the top 4.
We didn't take it.
Which, again, that was probably a year, because at the start of last season, I think a lot of people would have said that, yeah, realistically, with Arsenal squad, top 6.
Yep.
All of a sudden, we were frustrated with our performances. We were put in a position where we could get top 4. What did we do in January? We didn't go and get and strengthen in the areas that we needed to. We went with what we had, and that, for me, cost us the top 4, because we didn't have the strength in depth. You know what I mean? We had a little cameo from Eddie and Nketiah at the end, but we should have got a striker when we got rid of Aubameyang, and we should have brought in a midfielder, and that cost us. Look at some of the games that we played towards the end of the season where we dropped points. That game against Tottenham, no Thomas Partey, no Tomiyasu. There was so many players missing. Same at Newcastle. You can't go into those big games at the end of the season when you need something.
Shuffle in the deck.
Yeah. So I'm saying we are in a position at the moment. I mean, if we beat Chelsea on Sunday, we're 13 points ahead of Chelsea. 13.
Mad.
Right? We are in a great position. Go out there in January. Let's go for it. If we don't get it, you don't. They don't have to go out and announce it and say, "Oh, we're going for the title." And I like how Arsenal going under the radar. Just keep it. I always say this. I'm glad that Arteta's in public. He's just saying, "Listen, game by game, making it look like they're going for the top four." But secretly or in the change rooms, he should be saying to the players, "Yo, no, we're in a title race."
Yeah, listen, like you said, you go for the title, then top four should be a 30.
Yeah.
And
I'm not thinking like a loser. I'm thinking like a winner. I'm thinking like, hey, we could be a year ahead of the game. We could do it right now.
There's a balance to it because it's somewhere in between. I think what you're saying or what Dave's saying or what I'm saying. I think Mikel has kind of proven that there has been a plan this whole time. There has been a process. So maybe this January there is a plan, which is part of the process, which is part of the long-term plan.
Yeah, but they might have had that. They may have had that plan initially, Turkish. But I feel that initial plan, which is the long term.
Yeah.
They might have to switch it up a bit and say, yeah, you know what, we've got a chance to do it now. So let's go for it. That's my opinion. Ride 2596 says, Robbie and Turkish, I want 4 to 5 players at the most to compete with for the Premier League title, as we should be going for the league. And if we miss out on the title, you naturally finish in the top 4. I don't think we need 4 to 5 players at this stage. He also again goes on to say he names the players he like: Neto, Zaha, Ivan Toney, Tielemans, Ndidi, Savic, and watch Arsenal's first 11 and squad elevate even more. Ideally, Trossard would be wicked for Arsenal. Out of all those players he named, I think the only realistic ones we could get would be a Zaha, a Tielemans, maybe an Ndidi. And it'd all be pricey, but I couldn't see us getting, Brentford not going to sell Ivan Toney mid-season.
And let's not forget, if you want to win the league, then pricey is the price you have to pay.
Sometimes you've got to pay over the odds.
Liverpool, who have been lauded for the way they've done it, they had to spend 75 and 7, was it 70 on Alisson or whatever it was, and 80 on Van Dijk or roughly whatever. 75 and 70. So, even Liverpool, the way they done it, which they've got a lot of credit for, they needed to kind of, push the boat out a bit to get a couple big names in.
Diallo says, I know Turkish agrees, bring Felix to the carpet. He would be a great signing. He hardly plays. He hardly plays at Atletico, and also Atletico now. Did you see they didn't even drop into Europa League? They finished bottom of the group. So those players have got no European football. But I've heard where Atletico said they're not selling him. But listen,
I wonder what his contract's like, because they must have bought him a good 3 years ago now.
Yeah, I think it would have been a long term because they spent so much money on him. Sir Wilzo says Savic, Toney, Kvaratskhelia from Napoli to win the Premier League.
He done well.
And I don't think there's no chance that Napoli would sell him.
Not yet,
Napoli having the seasons of their life. They're top of the top of Serie A. They top their Champions League group. I mean, why would they go and sell one of their best players? Aston Mac says Bellingham, Savic, Trossard. You started on it as well now, Aston Mac. But he says Bellingham, Savic, Trossard, Sangara, Gakpo and Xavi Simons, Mudryk, Tielemans, names for January.
I'll take anyone.
Again, out of all those names, who do you think's gettable? I mean, forget Bellingham.
Okay.
No chance.
Yeah, I'd leave Bellingham out of that. But I think I'll tell you Xavi Simons.
Savic,
he
forget
just moved to PSV, so I guess 6 months later they're not selling him. Gettable, Gakpo, Sangare, Mudryk, Tielemans.
Yeah, I think they're all gettable. They would all be expensive. But McClovin says we could push for the title with Zaha and Tielemans.
This season, potentially.
I actually agree.
Potentially.
I actually agree. If you bought those,
we need Haaland to keep hobbling, though. That's the thing about that.
Yeah, Ashai says, when will Spurs' luck end, Robbie? It nearly ended last night. But listen, I don't care about Spurs. I'm saying that we have got a chance. I just don't want us to
missed the
waste this opportunity.
No, I get you as well, Rob. I get you, because nothing's guaranteed in football. Nothing. So it's not like because we've started this season so well and year on year now in the last 2 years we've pushed on. It doesn't mean we're going to push on again next season, because
anything can happen. You can have a load of injuries. I mean, look at Liverpool at the moment. They've got injuries to some key players and things like that. I mean, those things can derail you. Whilst things are going well, if we go into this World Cup break in that position, and the other thing it does is it brings a level of excitement again to the fans. It's like after the World Cup now, you imagine after the World Cup finishes, right? And then you see a couple top signings coming in January. You're going to be rubbing your hands and saying, yo, you know what?
Gassed.
Yeah. No. I really hope we just,
I'm with you. I think the Kroenkes owe it to us as well, that if there is an opportunity there, then go and push for it.
Abdullah says get a target man striker and a left-footed centre back to push Gabby. I don't actually think we need defence is one area. Listen, you can always get, and I've seen us being linked with Indika from Frankfurt, but I think we can get through the season defence-wise.
Defence-wise, maybe not Partey-wise.
Partey-wise, we need someone in that area. And I still think we need a goal scorer up front. The more goals you've got in the team, the better.
Because Ben White's originally a centre-back, let's not forget that. And we have got Tommy. And
yeah. There's cover there. We're looking,
And to be honest, that Austin Trusty guy, I dismissed him as a signing a year ago, but speaking to some Birmingham fans I know, looking at some reports online, looking at his ratings over the course of the season, he's a left-footed centre-back apparently. So
listen, Turkish, right? The other day when we was coming back from Leeds, I think I said this the other day on the show. We was coming back from Leeds, and we stopped at a service station.
Yeah.
And there was loads of Birmingham City's fans in that. I think they'd been playing Hull City, so there was loads of them in there, and we got chatting with them and that, right? And they were all singing the praises of Austin Trusty.
Yeah.
And I was saying to them, I was going, what? I haven't really seen him play yet. What's he like? And they go, he's commanding, he's quick, he's, taken to the league brilliantly, he's been scoring goals. And they were saying to us, don't take him back. Don't take back Austin Trusty. Now, I know it's the Championship, but...
That's a good test.
It's a great test, you know what I mean? And I was even looking at him. Austin Trusty's 6'3". It's a big guy.
Big, yeah.
He, like you said, he can play as a left-hand side centre-back, and he's doing brilliantly out on loan. And... it's a good place to cut your teeth as a defender in the Championship.
Very physical.
Yeah, so you could possibly bring him back.
Sounds good.
D3MI says people spit in names, but if we got Ward-Prowse, then Becker Union, he says.
Ward-Prowse, someone that I've been interested in a little while. I like Ward-Prowse, especially because of what he
great
brings
on set pieces, isn't he?
Yeah,
it's great on set pieces. Name says I want De Jong. He can play both Xhaka and Partey's position. Listen, Man United spent the whole summer trying to get De Jong. I think there's no chance of that. The High Flyer says Arsenal dream signings, Benzema and Bellingham.
But then
Benzema's
on that De Jong, De Jong rejected United because it's not all about money for him. That's that. If it was, he would have gone United. So maybe, just maybe, if the Arsenal project continues the way it's going, then maybe we can attract these players that are more interested in the project.
Champions. And do you know what as well? If Arsenal push for the title this year, and say they just missed out, or they make a big fist of it, right? I think that a lot of these players will want to come because we all know that there's so many players around world football. They absolutely love Arsenal. Mm-hmm. Which is your favourite club? Arsenal, Thierry Henry, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Arsene Wenger. But they've seen us in the doldrums for so long. The re-emergence of Arsenal could tempt a lot of those players back. I'm even meeting opposition fans that don't particularly don't love Arsenal, who are actually saying to me, you know what, it's actually good to see Arsenal back as Arsenal.
Because they know what they know the mud we've been through over the years.
Yeah. So I think, Champions League will be able to attract a load of those players, but man, I'd love us to just go out and
Yeah, man. Let's get Bergkamp on the case, man. Get Bergkamp to speak to De Jong, Henry to talk to Mbappe, and next summer we move.
Guided Tranquility says Musiala is the correct profile. He's perfect for the carpet. Listen, man.
Again, it's
They're
one of
not
them
gonna sell
names
it.
that, you know, until we see that happening, it's hard to believe that can happen.
We're not gonna get.
We've never been that club to go out and get the most expensive players in all positions, and Musiala's going to be one of the most expensive players.
And we kind of got our own sort of young players that have like in Saka, and you know, and also in Martinelli and guys like that. Jihad Bra says my January picks: Luka Jovic, Weston McKennie, Tielemans on loan, and Christian Pulisic. Not feeling. All these Americans. I bet you're from America, aren't you?
Forget Pulisic. You know what, actually, now that guy said De Jong, I'm just thinking, Barcelona are going to be happy to accept 60 million in the summer. If we've got 50 million, add 10 to that, offer 60. If Barca say yes, just see what De Jong says. I'm not saying wait 30 days like Man United waited, but why not just see it? Because he's not one just for this season. He would be a benefit this season, but he's one for seasons to come.
Yeah. That'd be a great signing. Diallo says we're not looking at top 4 no more. Top 2 only. We don't listen. I'm not in the top 2 thing either. Either you're going for the league, and if you miss out, you finish second. Not in this top 2. When they do all this top 3, I get it. You're looking to get into the top 4 to get back in the Champions League. Other than that, you want to win the league.
Yeah, of course. If you don't win the league, then you haven't done any. Well, of course, making Champions League is something, but it's not success. Making a tournament is not success. First in the league is success.
Touch of Awesome says I'm cool with one signing. Has to be a great signing. No young prospects with high ceilings. I'm thinking someone who just comes in, man, as I said, and makes that contribution right now. Let me, we're coming towards the end of the show, Turkish. I want to ask you one before we went. Reiss Nelson came in the other day, couple of goals and assists, brilliant. I noted that he was saying the other day that his contract is up soon. Do you think this guy can earn a new contract at Arsenal?
He can definitely earn one. I wouldn't give him it off the back of one 60-something minute performance, but he can definitely earn one this season. I mean, if Eddie earned one last season, Reiss Nelson can definitely earn one this season. More appearances like that off the bench, more goals, more assists, because at the end of the day, that's what the forwards are there for, wingers are there for. And I think he is not that guy that's going to ask for 100k or 150k. He might just be a guy that you lock down on smaller wages, but he's an integral part of your squad. Whereas when you're competing on multiple fronts, he can come in on the FA Cup, or he can come in for a league game here and there. I've always liked Reiss, but like I said, not a contract off of one game. Let's analyse that in March, April, and let's see what else he does. And I'm hoping he does more.
I like the fact that the other day with his goals, where his positions, he was right in the box.
Yeah. Different to what we usually
Yeah, we know. Not used to seeing Reiss Nelson. Every time I see him in games, he's just out wide all the time. He's just like wide. Never got into those areas. That obviously must have been some instruction from, Arteta and the coaching team. Get in the box more. And he got into 2 great positions and scored 2 great goals.
Yeah,
and
when he first come on for Saka, the game kind of quietened down for us, and Forest started getting the ball more, because it was more or less like for like, go on and try and hug the touchline. But then the second half came and he was a lot more inside. He was making runs into the box, so he was finding himself 6 yards. So it was definitely a Mikel instruction, and it worked wonders.
Yeah. Osamar says we had Benatia years ago in our academy. He may be tempted back if we offer the right fee to Milan. I don't think they will sell him mid-season. Here's one for you. Zubia says Vlahovic. Not having a great time of it at the moment with Juventus. There's loads of names being suggested by you guys. On Reiss Nelson, you think he'll start tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Especially now that Saka's back. Maybe see Zinchenko start as well?
Yeah. Hopefully he gets some minutes. Hopefully El Nene gets some minutes as well. But I want to see Reiss and Marquinhos start, either side of Eddie and Ketia. And it's time to knock on the door. I know Reiss has knocked on the door with his performance against Forest. I think Marquinhos and Eddie need to do a bit more. Lokonga definitely needs to start knocking on some doors. So, I expect Reiss to start, and hopefully we get the win and keep it moving. Yeah, well, listen, thank you very much for tuning in today. Really appreciate you guys. We did get the 1,000 likes, 1,161. When the big man speaks for the likes, we get the,
Yeah.
Well, I'm on this channel more than him, as I said at the beginning.
Yeah,
So
and thank you here, Maurice, for the more rat emojis. You know what I mean? I love the rat emojis that have come in.
Watch when you see a snake come
Samson, who says,
into this building. Don't say Turkish, that's too far.
Samson, who says mouse. You're going to bring a snake in it?
Oh, I'm thinking about a tiger, a snake. You don't fuck with the wrong guy.
I ain't scared of snakes, man.
Cool. Remember
I
that.
ain't scared
You
of no
scared
snake.
snakes. Cool.
I ain't scared of no snake.
We're gonna see. I'm not. Listen.
Is that how you look? How wicked he's thinking. Snakes. One
Yeah.
little, and it was a plastic mouse, right?
Listen.
And he was.
Listen, you brought me to the game. It's time to play. It's time to play. Robbie, you're climbing that list. You know, you're gonna pass Hassan to second place soon. Yeah. Cecil, Hass, Robbie. Look, he just beat you again.
And also, happy belated birthday going out to Cecil for yesterday as well. Thanks to you guys. We'll be back tomorrow with actually, no, we're not back tomorrow. The game's on tomorrow. So make sure you check us out. We're going to be here with full-time show. We're going to be here with the starting 11 and also the big watch-along tomorrow. Make sure you check it out. Arsenal looking to top the group and avoid all them teams dropping down at the Champions League in the Europa League tomorrow. We'll be all over it here on AFTV. We'll be back with a live show on Friday. Thanks for watching.
Love.